presentation number 2. I have here with me on stage 4 women from Seattle's Riot. They're here to talk a little bit about some of the work that their team and the learning that their team has been involved in over the past few years, going to international events, learning from the global ultimate community about spirit and how it's enacted, and trying to take some of that back to North America. I'll pass it off to the ladies now. Thanks for joining.
Great. My name is Alyssa Weatherford. This is Kate Kingery. This is Gwen Ambler and Rory Titcomb. So we think that spirit circles are really important because it gives us an opportunity to strengthen bonds between teams, as well as getting face time with people that we play against all of the time, or people that we may only see once ever, and getting that opportunity to really make connections with people that really care about the same sport that we care about. We also think it's a great time to acknowledge really awesome and positive things that happen during the game, as well as an opportunity to be honest about challenges that maybe were dealt with during that game. Instead of always just being like, yeah, we love playing against you, like if there were challenges during that game, being honest and respectful and intentional about the way that we deal with those issues. As well as coming from a place of trust that everybody that plays this sport wants to strive towards excellence in the field of spirit of the game. So we are going to give you some examples of experiences that we've had in spirit of the games, and then we're going to finish with a demonstration. So here's Kate.
Thanks, Alyssa. I'm going to talk about an example from a game that we had at regionals leading up to U.S. Nationals. It was the finals at regionals. We were playing, Seattle Riot was playing Traffic from Vancouver. It was a super tight game. It ended up going to Universe Point, and we ended up winning that game. But it really felt like an unsatisfying win because of the fact that there were many examples of poor spirit throughout the game. There were a ton of calls. Many of them were made in an angry or a negative tone, which doesn't make anybody feel good. On top of that, people off the field were getting involved in the calls, which, as we all know, that's not how it's supposed to work. And it escalated throughout the game. We didn't end up stopping the game to do a spirit circle, so by the end of the game, everybody pretty much felt unhappy, unsettled, and upset. So after the game, the captains got together and had a discussion about what happened. Some individual players talked to each other one-on-one to kind of get it out of their systems and express their frustrations. And emails were exchanged, and it was a big, long process of people dealing with this frustrating game. It seems that if we had just had a spirit circle, which is normal in international play, that we could have avoided a lot of that. We would have been able to say to each other's faces that we were frustrated and we wish things had gone differently. So overall, we actually ended up playing them again and having a really spirited game that was filled with good sportsmanship, thanks to everybody going out of their way to discuss it and build on that game and improve it. But this is an example of why we think honest, positive spirit circles are a really important part of Ultimate as a self-officiated sport. Gwen.
So I also wanted to just give it another example of a situation where I felt that spirit circles actually really enhanced the relationship between two teams in international play. And so in 2008, I was competing with Fury for Team USA, and it was actually my third Worlds with that team. And we had the opportunity to play Team Japan 3 times during that season, once at Dream Cup in Japan, and then 2 times at Worlds, including the finals of WUGC. And during the course of that season, we basically had the opportunity to have an ongoing conversation during those spirit circles after each of those games. And personally, I was really struck by the honesty and specificity that the Japanese teams brought to each of those spirit circles. And for example, they really referenced a lot of their preparation going into each of those games, how they were preparing for our team, referencing various skills that they saw, various strategies, also referencing the spirit that happened, referencing the physicality. They were very specific, and And I was really blown away actually by the level of earnesty and the level of respect that they were displaying in those conversations, which hadn't actually always been my experience with spirit circles in the past. And actually in the finals that year, I think both teams would have come away with it really saying that the relationship between those teams was one of two teams that were really competitors in every sense of the word, giving their all, respecting each other, and really pushing each other to their best of their abilities and their limits. And the following year is actually when I joined Riot and have been a part of their leadership since then. And it's been really important to me to take some of those lessons from that experience playing Team Japan, and on Riot developing certain core values and helping our team be really deliberate about how we compete and how we interact with our opponents.
Sweet. I'm going to talk a little bit about that process. One important phase in that process of improvement for us started at the World Ultimate Club Championships in Prague in 2010. And Riot was really lucky to go and experience a phenomenal tournament and experience some really phenomenal spirit circles in Prague. And we came home, played the rest of our season, and were just utterly shocked at the end of our national championship tournament when we were ranked second to last in the spirit standings. And that was a really rude awakening to recognize that there was a really big misalignment between how we perceived our spirit and how our opponents perceived it. And that forced us and facilitated us having a really honest conversation on the team about what good spirit looks like. And we got really specific, we got really nitty-gritty. We talked about how we want to react after a call is made. And we created signals to communicate about on the field whether we thought the calls being made, or the calls our teammates were making were, good calls or bad calls. And it was really instrumental in us being able to develop what Riot's standard of spirited play looks like. And I would say that the impact for us has been pretty phenomenal. We've seen improvement in our spirit scores. We've seen sort of Riot's regard in the Ultimate community really improve. And probably most importantly, we've seen really great relationships that have grown and developed between teams and also between the individuals on our teams.
So now Kate and I are going to get up and demonstrate a spirit circle. The format that we try to take to our spirit circles is a positive and then a delta or something that could be like changed, and then end with an appreciation and a thank you to our opponents. So Kate's going to be on Riot and I'm going to be on another team, and we will pretend like our whole team is in a big circle and we're all linking hands, our arms, and hanging out together. So here's Kate.
All right. So we were really happy to have this opportunity to play your team. Your team had great hucks, which forced us to adjust our defense. We started backing your cutters. We were forcing straight up on the mark to try to stop those hucks. Something we wish had improved was when we made our calls, we felt like you didn't adjust. For example, after a foul call, we didn't feel like your play became less physical, and we hope that's something that we can improve the next time we play your team. And finally, we really appreciated your high level of play. We enjoyed the challenge of your junk Ds and the challenge of defending your hucks and your deep cuts. We look forward to playing you again. Good luck in your next games, and thank you.
Thanks. We thought you had played great tight person defense and really forcing us to look past our primary options and having to go to our second and third looks. One thing that we would maybe hope to change for next time is your tone in which you use to discuss calls with us. We felt like it was a little bit dismissive, and it was hard to know if you were listening to us or just going along with contest or no contest. So we wish in the future that maybe you'd be more willing to really interact and make it a discussion instead of a one-way talking at someone. But we really did enjoy playing your team, and we are really excited for the opportunity to get to play your team at some point in the future. So thank you so much. And you can give a big old high five. Yeah. So that's all that we have, and so thank you guys all for listening to us talking about this.
And thank you for Riots for joining. Really appreciate it.